Probably do 15, 20
Hello
top.
and welcome to the Pre-Chiro podcast. My name is Dr. Ben. I'm your host. And today we have a pro-Chiro connection with Dr. Fred. Can you kind of just get us started, Dr. Fred, by just introducing yourself, sharing a little bit about where you were at in life and what that pivot point was for you when you decided you wanted to become a chiropractor, and just what that memory looks like for you?
Hey, some people, first of all, thank you for having me on here, man. It's awesome what you're doing and inspiring people to move in probably what is the best direction in healthcare. And the general public is starving for it, not just this country, definitely, but definitely the world is thirsting for the chiropractic message and an inside out healthcare system. Right? Everything outside in, man. We've been fighting this battle for a long time, right? And now so many things are being exposed. People are seeking more natural health care. You couldn't be at a better time to choose chiropractic, but really chiropractic chose you. And that's another story we'll get into. Some people have these great stories. Man, I got hit in the back in football and I was paralyzed on the field and I went and got adjusted. I don't have anything like that. I was in undergraduate school at San Diego State and I was actually a pre-med student, typical story, right? And I got a pamphlet from LACC. And, I was praying that God, show me what I'm supposed to do. I was thinking I'm being a physical therapist. And I'm like, chiropractors are dumb. They don't know anything. I didn't know anything about them, right? And then I got a second pamphlet. And I'm like, chiropractors are stupid. I threw it away. And then I got a third pamphlet. And my own belief system is that when I'm praying for something and something happens 3 times, God's telling me that's where I'm supposed to go. And so I enrolled in chiropractic school. I had no idea what chiropractic was, but I just knew I was going to do something great. And that was it, man. I had to figure out what chiropractic was. It's like God told me, here's what I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. And
So I
so,
became a
yeah, can you
chiropractor
talk?
on a pamphlet.
Now, can you talk about the difference between becoming a chiropractic student and then like actually finding chiropractic? Because a lot of people don't actually discover chiropractic or the principle until maybe after school or later on in school. Like, where were you at where you actually got exposure to the depth of this art and healing profession?
Well, I went to LACC, which has zero philosophy, and that was before subluxation was actually profanity, but it was right on the edge. And so, it's so funny because great leaders come out of schools that teach the least philosophy. It's amazing how people can go to Life University or Life West or Sherman and not be so fired up about the principle. And so, being Italian from South Philly, of course, it just creates rebels, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, I didn't really know what chiropractic was, so I had to figure it out. But I did start, the technique I started to study was AK, applied kinesiology, and they did all this nutrition and points and stuff like that. But they would muscle test for organ problems, and they had a spinal link. Like if you're showing signs of a liver problem, check the mid thoracic and stuff like that. So I made that connection. And then, I started studying Gonstead, and Gonstead taught the philosophy. I didn't learn it in school. I got it in clubs, and I would just get student loans and go to seminars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it was. I started being introduced to the philosophy. And then when I got out of school, in a couple months getting out of school, I went to Dynamic Essentials, which was all philosophy. And this was way back when we had the old leaders, Jim Sigafus and Jimmy Gregg and these guys that saw 1,500 a week, and I thought seeing 1,000 a week was normal. I mean, not normal, but I mean, in that crowd, it was volume. And you just come home and you would tout the principle. The principle is truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I never doubted the principle.
Mm-hmm. So just backstory, my family grew up at 4th and Tasker. I would live at Broad and Mifflin when I went to Temple University. There was no presence of chiropractic. When I got done with the program, it was like, do a study on whatever you want to do. I did a study on all the different health professions. I wasn't inspired by the chiropractor. Matter of fact, the chiropractor told me, look elsewhere. This is not the right path. And anyway, I came to eventually go into the right office and went to chiropractic school, and I looked back at how convoluted my process was. I was a college athlete. I was in kinesiology, exercise science. I was studying massage on the side, and it was never really brought to my attention that this could even be a good option. So I just say that like, yeah, I hear you. I lived in a similar environment in South Philadelphia, and there wasn't a lot of presence that I was aware of as a college student of chiropractic. And I live on the West Coast now. But can we kind of talk about just your professional engagement? I've been following you for years now.
Oh, thanks, man.
You've done work to develop professional communication for chiropractors and teach people to relate to others on deeper levels and develop strategies to overcome obstacles and objections in people's subconscious or in people's limiting beliefs. Can you kind of just talk about the inspiration that you've had in your career and how you've channeled it into the work that you do?
Well, hey, man, you've done a little bit of homework. so, so that's awesome. When I came out of school, I believe chiropractic is a lifestyle, as an athlete, I was very injured. And, even though I was getting segmentally adjusted, man, I had disc problems at L5 and C5. I had degenerative disc. I had sciatic pain every week. Every time I sneezed, my arms were burned. And here I was a chiropractor, with a big practice. And I just thought, people deserve to live that lifestyle. So I joined some management groups and they started teaching me scripts and all this stuff, and it helped with the organization. But there wasn't one, after 4 management groups in 11 years, nobody could tell me. They could give you scripts, but they couldn't tell me why one person committed, got it, lived their life that way, brought their family, and another person walked out in 2 days or quit in 10 visits. Nobody can answer that question. So one day I just decided I'm done. I'm done losing patients. And the bigger your practice is, you have a nice bank account, but you're just losing more people. So I looked at it that way. With every person that walked out, I took it personally, right? So when you're losing 40 a month, that's a lot of pain over a decade. So I figured, you know what? One day I asked myself 2 powerful questions. How do I get people to look at chiropractic like I do? Because if they do, they would live the principle and they would live a better life. And then how do people make life-changing decisions? And so I started studying human behavior, and I started incorporating this. I basically threw out a lot of things that I had learned, reincorporated things that were useful, and understood how people made life-changing decisions. I went to UPW. I wanted to find out, how does Tony Robbins get 10,000 people across 2,000-degree colds? Because to me, that's chiropractic, right? And then I went to Business Mastery on how do you create raving fans that will stay with you for life. That sounds like chiropractic. And so I started incorporating all of this. My practice exploded. I had a big practice with, I could be there or not be there, because I realized that you have to create a different type of person. Like if you want to grow, you have to create a different type of patient, a different team. And so then one day I looked at my schedule. There was more people than I thought I could adjust that day. And although there's people that see more, but there was a bunch of people there. And I just prayed over my schedule and I said, God, there's got to be a bigger purpose. I mean, I was probably 3 months away from 300 a day. And I thought, I got 10,000 people driving by my office. There's got to be something bigger. And a year and a half later, I started coaching. I started teaching other doctors how to do this, because, people come in with a belief system. I'm dressed like this, so I'm on my way to the gym. But they come in with a belief system. They think chiropractic's about back pain or headaches or neck pain, right? We got to teach them it's a healthcare system. We want to change your whole belief system and mindset from the inside out. If you can't change their mindset, you're not going to change how they live. And so I believe that chiropractic is really a self-empowerment system, that all of healthcare, if you want to create a healthy person, is really a self-empowerment system with a healthcare application. If you don't know how to empower people, how can you change their belief systems to change the way they live? And so one of our taglines, if you want to say, is we create 90% lifestyle patients that give you profitability, sustainability, and freedom, meaning you create a patient that changes the way they live, because lifestyle is a mindset. It's not a condition. And then with that, automatically they bring their family. You expect them to bring their family. You don't have to ask for referrals. It just grows on its own because you created a leader, not just a patient.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How can we do that for our high school and college students who are looking for a path of purpose? They're looking to become passionate in whatever it is that they choose to do. I'm not saying we should tell them you have to be a chiropractor. I'm just saying we should invite them, but also empower them in their process of going through these, I want to say, distracting and very noisy times where they have lots of different things going on in their life, not only internally, hormonally, mentally. Their belief system is changing rapidly. How do we empower this younger population? I'm just curious what your thoughts are. It might not be any different than a person who's older. I'm just curious how we empower them to see themselves as potential leaders for others, or leading others. The experiences that we want them to go through. Like you said, Tony Robbins has people walking on coals. Obviously, the more adversity, the stronger and more resilient they're going to become internally. And that's my intention with developing a pre-Chiro program, just to let you know what I'm up to. I'm trying to really help structure this pathway so that before they even get to the admissions process, they've gone through a lot. So I appreciate you helping build context here.
Well, hey, man, I would love to help you with that too. So anything that we can do other than this interview would be great. The really chiropractic principle is a spiritual law, universal intelligence, meaning the whole intelligence that runs the universe. We're innate intelligence. The universe moves through us. If you have any spirituality, Genesis 1:27, we're created in the likeness and image of God. And, the spiritual energy of the spine is really the bridge between heaven and earth, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So we fix the spine. You connect spirit man with physical man, because we are spiritual energy first. And that life force energy is what animates and brings life to our tissues, right? So with everything that's going on in the world, the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is spirituality, is stay close to God, because there's so much stuff out in the world that if you get caught up at what's going on in the world, anybody's going to drown. Anybody's going to drown. And I'm not making judgments right now, but we know the research and we know the bigger picture that's going on. We know people know they can't trust the government anymore. We know that pharmaceutical companies are running a lot of this and their influence over mainstream media. Like, if you're looking at the world and you're not looking at what's inside you and staying close to God and fulfilling your purpose, then you're going to get caught up like all these other people that are getting shots. And these are very dangerous, and you can't follow what's going on in the world because you're going to be led astray. And when you're a chiropractor, as you know, man, you become a leader that swims upstream. However, the tide is turning. The flow of the river is turning. And people know that they can't trust the government now. They know the pharmaceutical companies are making, hundreds of billions of dollars. And they know that people are not out, people in charge are not out for their best interest. And so the general public, I know in our clinics, they're flocking to chiropractors now. All nutrition companies are going through the roof. I mean, if you sell any nutritional product, anything, people are thirsting for a natural healthcare system. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that we're going to continue to go through. It's not going to be the last epidemic or pandemic or vaccination. And so you have to have, I always say, if there's 3 things that you have, you'll be successful anywhere, anytime. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about chiropractic. You have to have a purpose in your heart to teach people a better way to live. You have to have a message in your mouth that you know how to articulate, and you have to have the gift in your hands. Here's our tools. Mm-hmm. And people may laugh at this, but my fiance had a bad asthma attack under stress, and we were just in like a Rite Aid, and she literally was sitting there gasping for breath, and I'm like, get on your knees. I set her Atlas, boom, she was gone, and we were joking around. I just had to practice an aisle 6, but the bottom line is she didn't have her inhaler. It's a new relationship. We haven't fixed her spine yet, but when she's under emotional stress, she gets asthma. And so there it is. So that's an example of people say, well, that's not professional. Well, ask her if she likes breathing. So we were joking around. Hey, man, you could set up a practice in aisle 6 or Rite Aid.
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom line, and when people are in a crisis, man, you have your hands. I have the purpose in my heart. I don't give a crap.
Mm-hmm.
And she already knows the purpose. Just, can you adjust me? I can't breathe. Boom. I don't. What am I going to do? Well, I have to drive back to my clinic. No, I set her Atlas and she can breathe. When you have that conviction to do what nobody else will do
Mm-hmm.
because they think it's not proper or whatever, people will flock to you.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a leader that stands out and you're at the tip of the spear, you can go practice anywhere. You'll always be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have purpose in your heart, a message in your mouth, and the gift and the art in your hands.
Mm-hmm. Can you kind of just give a quick reflection on what it's been like in practice to serve tens of thousands of people and witness the changes in their lives over time? Just because we're talking to an audience who's like maybe just finding out about chiropractic, wanting to learn more about the type of impact that they can make if they become chiropractors that really serve at a high level. Can you kind of just reflect on some of your practice experiences, what the flow looks like, how many people you might see that that you learn new things about right in the moment, or that you learn about years later that you impacted greatly?
Well, like say out of the tens of thousands of people, right? There's, you expect miracles, when you know that when your spine's out of alignment, it's going to cause stress to the spinal cord. It's going to block energy, and then you're going to get sick, disease. You'll be either chronic pain, disability, disease, or even death. So, the amount of organ problems, medical failures, and things that you fix their spine and their health problems get better. MS people, and you can't even name it. But I would think of all those people, there's really 5 that stand out the most. And I had people where a family brought them on their deathbed and they were sent home to die. And they were said, you'll be dead in 2 days. And I aggressively start fixing their spine, and they lived and they lived, where, the things like hearing coming back and eyesight coming back and blood pressure and, all that stuff. You expect those things, because the principle is truth. It's a healthcare system. It's not a back pain system. And so, learn a technique that will correct spinal structure, have the purpose in your heart, message in your mouth, and you will have people that they will come and hug you and say their life was dependent on the fact that you were the fork in the road that changed the trajectory of their life forever. And then do that with their family. And it's one of the most fulfilling purposes that you can ever live.
Mm-hmm.
Just love people.
Mm-hmm. And I want to be honoring of your time. If we have only 2 minutes left, can you kind of just wrap us up by sharing a little bit about maybe what drives you today, what your mission is, maybe the people you've aligned yourself with, the types of projects that you're offering to chiropractors or within the profession, resources you're creating. I've had Dr. Ben Lerner on here. I almost had Dr. Chris Zano on here. I've seen you aligned with these individuals who operate at a very high level. And I know that Dr. Ben shared like a really big vision for what he's up to. But can you kind of just maybe touch on what you're up to and some of the resources that you've created or helped create?
Well, the purpose has never changed. The minute I found out what chiropractic was, is to create a healthcare system. And that's really it. I see that all of healthcare, as medicine crashes, that all of healthcare becomes a self-empowerment system. That eventually, my vision is that medicine turns over, changes, that chiropractic becomes a primary healthcare system. And so my thing is helping people become spiritually based. I think that's the biggest problem in the world. Help them become spiritually based inside out in their belief system with God and who God created us to be, to help people live their soul purpose. So we have a website, youaremorepowerful.com. I wrote a whole book on Healed. It's how to tap into your innate divinity, clear your past, find and live your soul purpose. And then elitecoachingllc.com. You can go there, get on our email list. And, this is how we teach the whole self-empowerment system. So we're always putting videos. Follow me on Facebook, Dr. Fred DiDomenico. We have the Perfect Lifestyle Practice. I'm putting videos on there. We have Healed with Dr. Fred. These are paid pages, but if you stay on those, man, your whole view of yourself, your purpose, how you want to communicate, how you want to express yourself in this life, and really just be who God created you to be and fulfill the purpose of why you're in here.
Mm-hmm.